Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Dieter, Josh, we are looking at play of props, week 12. Thanks for coming back on the show, my friend. Had a pretty good week for Dietz, I would say, if you consider a sweep, a nice week here in week 10. He was out week 11 with a mild calf sprain, but he's back and we're good to go. So, Dietz, let's get into your first play of prop here.
This guy also has a mild calf strain that kept him out for the entire first half of the season. His name is Christian McCaffrey. I want to see what you have currently on the books. I did all my numbers last night, and these things change pretty rapidly. But just lay it in here. We got 73.5 rushing yards, more or less. That's the number I have. And I'll tell you what, I don't see it, Josh. I don't see it at all. Christian McCaffrey.
Should I have this on under?
Yes. I don't see it. I don't see 73.5 in him. You look at what he's had, 79 last week against Seattle. That was force feeding. 39 against Tampa. And now here's the thing. We're not sure if Brock Purdy's going to play in this game. We're talking Friday morning, okay?
Not good.
I think that they'll probably run him out there, and then Brock Purdy will run one time, and then Brock Purdy might not be in the game anymore. He's got a shoulder thing that didn't allow him to participate in the main practice of the week. They're giving him an MRI. This is of concern here for the 49ers. You already have a situation where you don't have Nick Bosa going on the defensive side of things, and I would be stunned if Trent Williams played in this game. So just let me put it to you this way, Josh. It's all gone to hell for the 49ers.
It has.
And I'm looking at a game script here where Christian McCaffrey, who, by the way, even if the game script was leaning towards they can run the ball, I don't see him have any burst, any explosion. The trademark of a Christian McCaffrey run is that he glided over the field.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. He ran like nobody else.
Right.
It was like he was like ice skating. Okay, when I watch him now, he just looks like a guy.
Yeah,
he just looks like a guy. A lot of extra steps, indecisiveness, and he cannot explode on the cut. Yeah. The entire premise of an outside zone run scheme is one cut, foot in the ground, go.
Right.
He doesn't have that explosion because he doesn't trust those Achilles.
Sideways, vertical.
Yeah. And he has no lateral movement. We see this all the time in the NBA. Guys get injured and they lose the ability to go laterally.
Tyrese Halliburton.
That's a great example. Klay Thompson's another good example. You have these injuries. It doesn't matter if it's an Achilles injury. You just lose. That's the thing that goes. Sometimes it's just strictly age. You just lose that horizontal ability, that ability to go side to side. I don't see it with Christian McCaffrey in the run game. He doesn't have the vision right now. That maybe comes around, but even if he has the vision, there's not going to be explosion. Now you probably don't have a Trent Williams, so now you get Jalen Moore at left tackle. This goes from an average offensive line to the worst offensive line in football, or one of them. This is brutal. I think the Packers don't just win, they win big. And that if Christian McCaffrey is in a situation where he is getting touches, they're in the pass game because you just can't run the ball because you're already down by 21.
So maybe some Jordan Mason time in this one.
That would be a prudent thing. That would be a prudent thing to do regardless of the game script. Because this is going to be a nasty game in nasty weather. The Packers and the 49ers both love to play down to their opponent. They both love to play in close games for no good reason. Jordan Mason's gotten 4 carries the last couple of weeks. He's gotten nothing. This dude was third in the NFL in rushing halfway through the year. The reason that the Niners had an offense in the first half was because Jordan Mason was breaking tackles at a rate unknown to mankind. And ultimately, it got him injured. But now he is healthy, at least ostensibly healthy. And he doesn't have to carry the heavy load. I would like to see more Jordan Mason if I'm the Niners. But regardless, if we're just talking about Christian McCaffrey, 73.5, all of these things are priced as if he's still the guy that he was last year. I'm telling you right now, there's a chance it shows up. I can't lie to you. There's a chance it's all rust. But what I see on film is a player that doesn't have it. And I've talked about this a lot with another guy on this team in the Niners, and Deebo Samuel. And you go, oh, well, he'll figure it out. We're 12 weeks in. It's getting worse. So I have a very hard time in nasty weather, cold conditions, a defense that is exotic and will blitz you a lot and will come at you from different angles, a team that isn't going to fear the 49ers pass game. I'm taking the under on Christian McCaffrey rush yards. That's a lot of words to say he ain't it right now.
Yeah. Fine. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the words you're saying too, because everything you just said is valuable information. And I think people have started to realize as they're watching us that you cover the 49ers. So when you watch tape on Christian McCaffrey, you're not saying like, hey, I chose to watch tape because I wanted to make this bet on Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, this isn't an anchoring
thing.
Like,
I would love is to look at this tape and study the crap out of it. And nobody can find angles better than someone who's actually watched this stuff. Yeah. If you're seeing that from him, I'm with it. The thing that would have led me to go over on his rushing yards if I was going to is mostly that the Packers are better down the middle than they are with the stretch. That said, this is not about the matchup with the Packers as much as it is the context of the game, the weather, and where he's at physically. And if he's not there, like, I don't know if Kyle's just going to run him into the ground against the Packers. I would hope not. And if he doesn't, I think it's like, I mean, we're getting 12 plus 1,200 for a Jordan Mason touchdown. If he's starting, that's minus 120.
I kind of love that play.
Is there anything not to love about that? By the way, the third quarter touchdown. This is degeneracy. By the way, call the helpline if you're betting on over under.
This is the reason that you have to do disclaimers at the end of these.
Precisely. Ads. These bets right here are the reasons that you degenerates make me have to say, like, bet responsibly. Please don't bet on quarter touchdowns like that.
Is it wrong that I really want to take that though?
Maybe we just do a sprinkle on each quarter. That's a better way to play these TDs, perhaps, to be honest with you. If you're going to take a Christian McCaffrey touchdown, if you get like minus 180 for it, but you get like plus 200 for him in each quarter to score a touchdown, bet 3 of those quarters or whatever, like, figure it out. But you're going to get better value that way. So
I think actually that might be true. Just brain napkin math. That might be the play moving forward. This might be a market inefficiency we just discovered.
I think we might have. And
I'm sure there's some guy who's made $15 million already on
doing that.
Absolutely. This entire Discord is just predicated on this betting play.
Just do the quarter touchdown bet every time. But look, hey, Haralabob, or however you say the dude's name, his betting strategy that initially staked him his bankroll was bet every quarter total and the game total. And he would just bet every quarter total based on what he was seeing in the game. That's some serious degeneracy, but it obviously led to some big money as well. So either way, moving past Haralabob, Jackson Smith-Njigba, good wide receiver when you use him correctly and you throw the ball past 4 yards down the field to him. He's really good, actually. Who would have known, except for everybody that saw him drafted and was like, can we start using him? And look, the thing that makes me saddest about taking Jackson Smith-Njigba over 50, what's he at now? Oh, did he go down? This is rushing and receiving. It's probably about the same for the receiving. Yeah. 55. So he's 1 yard rushing, but the over 55.5 for this situation, I love it. Arizona has looked really good on defense against the Jets and against the Bears. And do either of them have their offensive coordinator? I believe both of those teams don't have.
Both of those teams fired their offensive coordinator.
So that's a pretty telling sign for how those offenses are and defenses are playing. But for Jackson Smith, what I'm looking at for him mostly is, like I said, that ADOT. And the thing that makes me sad is he's now above Tyler Lockett. That's what I was interrupting myself.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett's still running 100% of the routes, Deets, in the last 5 weeks. But even as the number 2 receiver, he's only gotten 10 targets in the last 3 games total.
Yeah.
So it's clearly become Jackson Smith-Njigba on the outside. By the way, he's been playing plenty in the slot, but he's moved to that Y a little bit more as well, which is really nice with DK out. And so that's helped his ADOT because there's more room to work with. And so now the yards are something you can take. Whereas last year, I would never attack anything except for receptions for him if I was going to take an over, because 5 for 40 was a realistic outcome for him consistently. And now we're seeing his ADOT rise up near double digits, and it's been above double digits the last 4 weeks. I love this play for him against Arizona, who's overrated right now.
I'm with you on that, and ultimately it does look as if Lockett and Smith-Njigba have swapped places in the offense, right? Like the classic Tyler Lockett was that 15-yard dig, right? And that's now Jackson Smith-Njigba's spot. The plays where it just goes out into the flat and he needs to make somebody miss used to be Lockett. Now it's Jackson Smith-Njigba. And having DK Metcalf back is huge because it clears out the top, takes the top off the defense. What can he do? What can DK Metcalf do? Run a damn 9 route. You know what they have him do? Run nothing but 9 routes. Sometimes he goes to the sidelines. Like, that's it. Like, there's nothing more than just run really hard, really fast, and force that safety to come over. And then Lockett tries to do his thing, but he doesn't have the separation skills anymore. It's more of a scramble drill when he gets open. So I'm all in on Jackson Smith-Njigba. I feel like the value is still there that the books haven't quite caught up to what Ryan Grubb is throwing out there.
I'm interrupting our own show here because I'm like, wait a second, is Geno Smith on the longest completion a look here against this Arizona team? I'm just watching Njigba over the top. I'm watching DK Metcalf maybe run down the sideline and just catch one of those either back shoulder or right over the top. Like, Geno's the perfect quarterback for this receiver core right now with his ability to throw it over the top. Although Jameis might even be better. Shout out the snow game for Jameis Winston. I love that. Let's get to your second play of prop here.
Okay. Xavier Worthy. Right?
Okay.
So Kansas City's coming off of just a offensive game overall. They've had a lot of those this year. And what stood out to me most in the last game that I saw from them was that they just looked slow. They just looked undynamic. And if I'm Andy Reid, I'm coming off a loss. You got to know that the coach is going to say, okay, how do we have a bit more pop? How do we get a bit more juice? So this is a super, super weird thing. I'm not even sure if you'll be able to find it, but I was able to find it on BetMGM. Xavier Worthy over half a rush yard.
I should be able to get that. Yeah.
Because ultimately, and where are we playing? 1.5. I'll play it. I don't care. He's getting like 20.
If you were like, oh, 1.5 is too rich for my blood, but I'll play the half, I'd be like, listen, man, I don't think it's going to work out on this show.
I mean, it's pretty simply when the Chiefs are really cooking, they have that end around game going. And we've seen it a couple of times this season where it's like, okay, there's the Chiefs offense. Their best offensive game I saw firsthand in San Francisco, in Santa Clara. And they put a whooping on the 49ers. And they were just running Mecole Hardman off of that end around again and again and again. And Xavier Worthy, the pop pass, think back to what they used to do with Tyreek Hill back in the day. They loved that pop pass. And you say, oh, it's about handoffs, pop passes, something. There's rushing yards to be had here. And I think Xavier Worthy, even on a screen that's behind the line of scrimmage, that's a rush yard. Like, I just feel like they need to get the ball into the hands of Worthy more in advantageous situations. I'd imagine they scheme up a couple of plays, not just one, for this guy so that they can see what he can do in the open field. Yeah. And there have been some situations this season where you can see, hey, when he gets the ball in his hands in a rushing situation, he can really explode. I just wouldn't be shocked at all if the Chiefs tried to go back to the well again on this. I'm getting even money on a rush yard prop for Xavier Worthy. You only need it to work once. And if it works once, it can fail 3 more times because you probably got enough yards to cover your ass. So it's a weird one, but ultimately I was looking for ways to bet on Xavier Worthy in this game because I think that the Chiefs have to give him the ball more if they want to become the offense that they need to become. And this is now the time to really ramp it up, right? Rookie year. I know that he didn't put on any weight or anything, but this is the time. Ramp it up. So if you want to play the receiving yards, go ahead. But I'm going rushing yards because I feel like there's value there.
I like it. Yeah. And honestly, like, if you want to play the receiving yards, fine. I'm almost like, if you believe strongly that their focus is get the ball in his hands, I prefer the receptions. Because even at like 4 targets, if his ADOT is 3-4 yards and he's basically a running back out of the backfield at that point, then you're talking about easy receptions from Patty.
That's
Mahomes.
At 2.5. But
that's at 2.5.
You got to eat some juice there, though.
Yeah, and but I prefer the angle that you're putting together here. With the rush yards, because what it comes down to for the rush yards is, does he get the attempts? It's just
does he get one or two? Does he get one or two? Are you going to hand it off to him once or twice? And I'm not saying put him in the I formation or anything, but like, can you get him the ball in the most direct manner possible?
Just give him the ball. Can you get him the ball? Just put it in his hands. Doesn't matter how it got there, if it's forwards or backwards in terms of the pass to him. But the key, once again, he's only had one game where he had at least a rushing attempt and he didn't get 2 yards rushing. So it's just the attempt. It doesn't matter about anything. Like, he's going to fall forward for 2 freaking yards if he has to. But yeah, this is strictly about if you think they're going to put the ball in his hands. And I love the angle that you're using to get there with it, and Andy Reid's brain that you're trying to read. So I'm with that for sure. All right, I am going to go to Hawk, by the way.
Let's do it. It's a great bet.
I think the touchdown is so sexy that I was like, oh my God. But the receiving yards, like, they're giving up the 10th most of the tight end in Chicago. in part because you don't get it down the sidelines with them, with those corners and safeties over the top. But because those safeties go over the top and will likely be helping out on Justin Jefferson, the middle of the field is going to be open, right, for this man.
Have it.
Yeah, it's just going to get what you want. And so I think the yards at 35.5, you're still getting a ton of value, coming off a bad game against a very good defense and one that has limited tight ends very well. So you see the receiving yards that Chicago gives up, their 10th fewest, but they give up the 10th most or 11th most, however you want to look at that, for the to the tight end position. And it's for good reason. It's not just because, they happen to have bad linebackers. No, it's because they're leaving that part of the field more open than any other part of it, whether it's 20 yards over the top, not really there. If it's on the sidelines, not really there. So I like Hawk. I think, unless he's injured, which he's clearly not anymore, I don't know why he would be out there for so many snaps.
Right.
He's been out there. Last week, he was back up to like 75% of the snaps. He's at, he had a bad game last week as well because of the game script. That was the one thing I forgot.
It was a brutal game all around. Yeah.
All nasty boy game with a lot of lead time for them. And the only reason it's not a worse score there is because Nakina. Oh, by the way, that was the other one. I picked Westbrook Akine to get a touchdown last week. And he didn't even have a red zone target, but he scored from 97 yards out. Oh my God, it looked so good on that one. Anyway, I'm going back to this one for TJ tonight, or on Sunday rather, and feeling good about 35 yards.
Love it. No, nothing wrong with that at all, man. TJ Hawkinson, if the Vikings want to get to where they want to go, it's got to be through Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, because I'm not seeing it with Aaron Jones right now. And clearly Cam Akers ain't it either. No. They got an offensive line that's got some issues. Like, you have to live and die by Sam Darnold. He's gotten you this far. I know that he's not your guy next year in all likelihood. You're going to J.J. McCarthy, but it's time to sling that thing.
Yeah.
So TJ Hawkinson, JJ, I think they're about to get targeted again and again and again. And if they don't, that's fine, because I think next week we can look at it and say, hey, there's some value in Jordan Addison. There's some value here. Like, we can mix and match from there. But in this week, coming off of a brutal offensive game, it's impossible for me to imagine a world in which Kevin McCarthy is getting, or I'm sorry, not Kevin McCarthy. That would be the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Kevin O'Connell, who they kind of look alike.
And his quarterback's name is McCarthy. I'll give you a break.
Yeah, sorry. Regardless, former Bakersfield representative, Republican Kevin McCarthy.
I love it. I like it.
KOC's got to go to his main guys. Yeah. When you are incapable of getting the ball into the end zone, when you have a bad offensive game that's all your fault, you need to get back to basics.
Yeah.
And what are the basics of this offense? Play action pass from under center, running the ball in outside zone, and having the best receiver, one of the best tight ends in football, and giving them the ball, scheming up good looks for them. And it's so easy to do it with both of those guys because they're both so damn good.
Yeah.
So focus your game plan around them. I think they were getting a little bit too cute. That's not the way you play football with Sam Darnold. This is a great play.
Agreed. Yep. And if anything, they're also going to be looking, the running backs are going to be more involved in the pass game these days for this team than the run game. So I'm with that. Let's close it out with your final one. I got one more too, but
I went back and forth on this one, Lander, because it's a great line, but I needed to have this action some way. And ultimately, I'm calling a game script play here, and I'm going Lamar Jackson over 238.5 passing yards. Now, Lamar's coming off of a brutal passing game, right? Less than 50% completion percentage, 207 yards. And you go, oh man, that's pretty crappy. Pittsburgh, good defense. Chargers, good defense. But I'll say this, Chargers have had problems with scrambling quarterbacks, and Lamar had 207 yards on less than 50% completions. So unless you think that that's happening again, which I don't, because I don't think it's schematically interesting as the Chargers are, I don't think they have the dudes outside of James to do anything to really shut down this passing offense. Right. Like, he had 207 on his worst passing game. What happens if it's just a little bit better? He's over this number. Yeah. So the idea is, are you going to be able to run the ball with aplomb to the point where you don't have to pass it against the Chargers? I don't see that happening. I see the Chargers being able to put up points because they're able to throw the ball right now, and Baltimore is extremely susceptible, if not the most susceptible in the pass game. And I think that we get ourselves kind of an old-fashioned shootout. And it might not be the highest scoring shootout, but I do think yards are going to be in bunches in this game. And I just have a hard time believing that the Ravens would come off of last week's game, brutal loss, brutal situation, tough defense in Pittsburgh. They're great everywhere. and then say, okay, let's not have Lamar throw it anymore. Right? They have to have Lamar throw the ball. I think there are opportunities there. I know it's a run-first offense, but ultimately the Chargers have to make a call. How do they want to get beat? What do you think Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter are going to do? They're going to try to stop the run, and they can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they will, but I think they can. Better than most. I think that opens up a lot of stuff down the field in the pass game.
Yeah.
238.5. I wanted to go under. The more I got into the numbers, the more I dug into it, it feels like actually a pretty easy over. I feel like the market isn't properly reflecting it. I take this thing all the way up to 255.
Wow. Big inefficiency in the market. I like it in part because what I brought up here too is the rushing attempts for Lamar, and this is why I've been pounding and sort of what have I been doing? I've been telling people to take the under on his rushing yards and the rushing attempts. More safe than that. Safer than that is going to be the rushing attempts. You look at the last 4 games, and it's been trending downwards since Cincy. But you get all the way out, obviously, out to Denver, and even versus Cincy again, and then versus Pittsburgh. So we're talking about a time of the season where I've been speculating, in part because of like listening to Jim Harbaugh talk, John Harbaugh talk. That
one of the Harbaughs, they'll both be coaching, so you're covered.
Jay Harbaugh. I've been watching him. Yeah, that's right. They are going. I can't even believe I didn't think about that. They're going up against each other again. The one that is up for the Ravens, he has been saying in his post game and even during the week that like we know Lamar gets hurt between weeks 11 and 17. We are not going to be running him 10 to 12 times a game.
That's really interesting
in that situation. Like, and he has every time he's gotten hurt in the last 4 years, it's been between the week 11 and 17, and it's not hard to put that together. It gets colder. He's been hit 400 times already. Makes perfect sense. So
attrition.
You've got to be able to slang that thing with him, and I know that they can. I love Deontay Johnson being out there. This ain't the Steelers. As good as this Chargers defense has been, I think there's going to be a little bit more.
I think EPA lies on this Chargers defense. I think they're good. I don't think they're great, and I think a lot of the EPA numbers give this indication of greatness. I see them give up big plays. I see susceptibilities. I see a team that can really only stop one thing at one time, and great defenses stop both.
Yep. This is not the sexiest pick to close out the show, so I'm sorry that I waited for this one.
No, that's fine. We're here to pick winners, baby.
That's true. You know what's sexy? Winning money. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So the Bucks are playing the Giants. The Giants, as a Giants fan, I'm so glad they gave up.
You weren't kidding on how lame this pick is.
It's so lame. This isn't even it, by the way. It's not longest pass completion. It's way lamer than you even think.
Oh, I know where you're going. Oh, no.
Going to rushing yards for the quarterback, 11.5. Hey, look at this. The Giants give up the third most rushing yards to the quarterback. But that's for a good reason, Dieter, because Sexy Dexy is coming to get you. Dexter Lawrence. This is the only thing this team does well. I assure you, I watch more time. I spent too much time watching Giants football this season. Right. There's no point to it. But now it's even better because we got Tommy Cutlets, baby.
That's great. Aren't you so happy that his agent is back in your life? I mean,
not really. That guy annoys the shit out of
me. Remember the concept of 15 minutes of fame? Like, this dude's clock is going slow.
He's on overtime for sure.
I mean, I look forward to whatever scandal brings him down.
He's gonna have a fedora hat selling ring that was underground. It's just all gross with him. But Tommy Cutlets, Danny DeVito. I don't know if his middle name is Danny, but it should be.
Use guys.
This guy, I don't care about him. I care about the fact that the only thing the Giants do well is rush, and really pass rush, mostly up the middle, for being honest. Brian Burns is coming through the middle behind Sexy Dexy. That's been the best play for them, is Thibodeau or Burns, basically just fill in the hole that's left by Dexter Lawrence taking 2 people with him as he goes towards the quarterback. And so that's forced quarterbacks to run outside, which is where Baker Mayfield's going to do it as well. He's clearly not running down the middle of the field as often as he can avoid it.
He's a scrambler. He's a swashbuckler.
Yeah, and dude,
look at that value.
Sneaky athlete. Not just because he's white. He's chubby and white, so he's super sneaky fast, right? Like
a rotund Caucasian shouldn't be getting this many rush yards.
Facts. Also, shout out the Giants for dropping Daniel Jones just a few minutes before we got on this show. Thank you guys so much for just
That's a decent thing to do.
Thank you. Yes. He's going to get his money. He'll be fine. He's a nice guy. Go buy some more Dockers and stuff, whatever. He'll be fine. But
he's going to be a backup quarterback in this league for the next 12 years.
Hell yeah. He's going to be picking up the Chase Daniel money every year.
That's a good call. That's a really good call. The second Chase Daniel.
Yeah. What's better than backup quarterback in the NFL? Like,
if you're steady at it, nothing.
Boom. So yeah, I like Baker to rush the ball 4 times. He's done it at least 4. He's rushed on an average of 4 times in the last 6 games. Last point I would make is so Mike Evans being back is actually helpful. If he is back, he's still questionable. But you send him over the top. You've got a safety helping out there. That's one less guy spying the QB. And Chris Godwin not being there, another big reason. How easy is it to give it to one of the best receivers in the game on a 7-yard slant and watch him get 40 yards a yak and add that to your passing?
Right.
There's no reason for you to run out of the pocket. You're like, either Godwin's going to catch this and get the first down, or it's going to drop and whatever. Right. But at least I didn't get hit. Without Chris Godwin, who's obviously out for the season, so this has been why you've seen Godwin went out right about here, right? And so now we've got 4 of 6 games going over, 11 yards against Atlanta, who is another good team to rush against. But either way, I like this against the Giants. Sexy or not, we're about to make some money off it, so I'm feeling good about it.
You're looking for man-to-man looks here.
There you
That's
go.
What you're looking
Giants
for.
Run that 4th most. Didn't even bring that up. Giants run the 4th most, and then when they're not running man, they're running cover 2 man, which for some reason considered a zone, still basically man. So
that's anyway. They love playing man-to-man. That means you get a running quarterback. They're not going to be spying Baker Mayfield. It's a great play. It's not sexy, but it's a great play, and I hate you for bringing it up.
You're welcome. Should have been mine. You're welcome. Yeah, this is a classic Dieter play, but appreciate the time, brother. Hopefully we'll go another 6-0. We only need 4-2. What are we talking about here? And we got plus money, so we really only need 3-3. Let's hit some of those tutties. Hopefully have you back next week. I'm sure we'll be good to go. So until we do see you next, happy betting.